Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm about to start wiring the BMS and putting the jumpers between. So getting another part of this video here. So right now you can see my two halves. I'm not going to go crazy with wrapping these because you see I'm putting it in. They're going to be dropping the two halves into this plastic box here. I have a cover made for it and it mounts to the bike. So by the time I pack it in there so they can't move, this is a rigid shell. So I'm not going to do the heat shrink. Pretty much, you see, just do this. Probably going to shrink wrap it, and then just a couple layers of tape on the outside to hold it a little more, to give it some strength. So let's get started here. And then I'll pretty much explain each section, and then I'll speed up through it, so there won't be an explanation when I'm going faster. But I'm hoping I try to get a little bit better quality here, so I can zoom in when I'm wiring the BMS. So you can see it a little bit better. And then the last couple battery builds have been a little tough, so. All right, let me get set up here. Actually, before I get started here, I should show you what I got. Basically, pretty much gonna be, so I got a pair of wire strippers. Got my soldering iron already heating up. Got my solder right here. This was actually, I was ordered on Amazon. This is 6337 alloy. It's got the rosin core. Then I have two of the 2.1 by 5.5 millimeter. These are my charging ports. The reason I have two out, we put one into the battery, and I'm actually going to be wiring one into the cover of the battery box, so I can put one of these little charging ports. It's a nice little charging port that'll mount from the outside. Has a little lock nut. It takes a little. I forget what size. I think it's a 3/8 hole, but I have to see when I'm ready to drill it. This way I can just plug in like a normal e-bike. It'll have the charging port. I got these ends. And then for this build, I'm gonna have, this is 12 gauge red. I got 12 gauge red and black in here, depending on what I need. Really, the only thing I'm gonna be using the 12 for is the jumpers from one side of the battery to the other, which you'll see in this build. Because this is, like I said before, this is not a normal build. I'm building this in two separate halves with all the BMS leads coming up, and I'm going to have the BMS board separate on this. And my main feeds are going to be I'm using 10 gauge wire. Once again, this is all Amazon. I'll put links on it. You can see it a little thicker, a little tougher to work with. I mean, it just takes a little bit more for soldering. Sometimes a little higher wattage soldering iron works good for the bigger wires. Just kind of absorbs the heat. And then I also have, I think the last thing I have is my XT60 end right here. I'm going to wire that in there. So I might as well get that out now. That's what I'm going to do first. Got my little plug. All right, now let me get everything out, set up. I'll start getting some wire stripped and pick up there. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna put the XT60 end on here. So we're gonna slide this little locking cap that goes and hides the terminations. I'm gonna slide that over. Definitely tight. You can see 10 is pretty much the max here. I'm gonna strip them. Okay, let's give this a shot here. I just stuffed them right in the ends. I just use this to hold it. Just an adjustable wrench. You can use anything, a vise. I just find it easier. That way I can push against it. So they usually have a marking. This one's very small, but you can see a positive right there. Or you can look and it's the flat side of the XT60 end. slide this up. Sometimes I have a little tough time, so I'll go a little. Yeah, you can hear it snap right on there. That hides the terminations. So I'm going to leave that there. Let me get the BMS board out. All right, so this is about how far apart they're going to sit in the little saddle box. And my BMS is going to go. I don't know how that would fit like that. That's going to be tight, so I'm going to actually mount it sideways like this. So all these leads, yeah, they will make it because they're going all to the top. Okay. Just line everything up. So now I got, so it's pretty much going to sit something like this. So just so I can see the right lengths roughly. You got your B negative and P negative. This is a common port on this one. So technically you could charge and power your bike through the same end, but I don't like that because I like to leave the bike hooked up when I charge it, and I can always see the voltage through the screen. So I will still just put a separate charging lead coming out of there. So that's what I'm gonna do here. And I don't need that long of a connection here because I'm gonna put an extension from here down to where the controllers are. So I'll make like a normal length lead. So this is gonna be power negative. So that's gonna be like here. So let's say we cut that here. Right, and then my positive is actually right here. I'll Sharpie that on there. So if I was like this, cut it right around here. Okay, so I'm done with the 10 gauge, except for, and now I need a jumper from B negative to negative right here. So the nice thing about this, I have everything right in the same area. Because I got my negative and my positive. I'm going to jump these two ends together. So yeah, so this is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Jumps over 8 through 14. 14 being my highest positive. So I'll leave a little slack on this. I don't want to make it too tight. Something like this. Okay, so I'm going to move these forward, do some soldering to the board. I just have it on this piece of wood just to keep it up off the table so I don't melt the table. I don't think I had enough solder down on that board. Like I said, this bigger wire, I think it's just absorbing it right up. Alright, let's get the charging negative on here. So you guys see how easy the small wire goes on there. Alright, now let's turn this around. We'll do the battery negative. Clean that off a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna try this different. I'm gonna try to do this one with the solder right on there. All right, that took right away. All right, so this is my jumper to the battery. So I'm not going to be doing any trimming, so I should be going through this pretty quick now. So you got your negative, right? Your black on this one, and then it's counting up from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 14, right? So I numbered negative. Same thing I did on the other builds. From negative, you start going up your positive sides and count. 1 positive, 2 positive, 3 positive, 4 positive, so on, all the way up to 14. So that's your order you're going to wire them. Now I want all my leads on the top side of this so I have more cable. So I'll start with this first half. So this half first. Now I normally leave a tab, this one I don't, so I'm just going to solder over near the negatives to keep it away from the positive. So first, this is my negative, right? Because this is the same thing. This positive, it's really the same because that's one connected piece, right? So you don't technically have to have your BMS lead here. It'll work just fine right next to it as long as it's on the same strip. All right, if it's connected together, it makes it one. So that's why I'm going the negative. I just found over time when these close and it doesn't have the spacers keeping it up, if I put a lot of heat there, it might melt down through. Now, we're going to go negative first. And 14. Okay, while I'm at it, I might as well just do the positive side too. So this is BMS leads done. It's gonna look a little funny until I get this together, but this is gonna be the easiest way. I'll do a second spot. I like to do two on a main feed like that. I'm just putting a little between the two separate tabs when I added that cell. All right, now I need my charger lead on here too. Strip this. I'm going to put it just next to that. Okay, so there's my positives, all right? Try to keep this separate from all my BMS leads. I don't want to get them all tangled up. You can see it's going to be just a little bit tangly. So now I need this. Keep that on that side of it. It's a little tough because it's not held like I normally have it. There you go. Oop. Come on. Like I said, this is a pain because this thing is not mounted. I could slide them in. Okay, I think I'm done with the soldering iron for now. Let's lay this out and make sure I don't have to unsolder it at all. Just in case I tangled something the wrong way. Let me take a break there. I almost forgot one thing. Forgot the jumpers going between the two packs, the two halves. I'm going to move this. I'm going to light both of these over. And first, let's see. See if this one piece is long enough. Yeah, it'll work. So once again, parallel conductors. Gotta be the same length. I'm just gonna let that drop. This will have a little bit more current ampacity than one single 10, if you're wondering why I'm doing it. And even though I'm only using a 10 to feed it, it really would be fine with just a 10. But I figured I'll just do two 12s. This is going to be the top. Do the same thing. Okay, now we're done with soldering iron. Okay, so I'm going to kind of lay it out, give you a rundown, and I'm just going to wrap it. Other than I pretty much have some rubber to put over each side, and like I said, I'm not getting too crazy. I'm just going to kind of tape them up. Some shrink wrap, a couple layers of tape around it, and then I'm going to be kind of tucking it in between some insulating foam when I put it in here. So going to have some different layers, and then it's got the plastic shell. So it's kind of just like if you open cells up in a down tube hard shell battery. Another thing is this double saddle thing, and I'll explain that again later when I'm doing the build. I'm not sure if I'm a real big fan of how it looks on the bike, but it definitely gets up towards the front, gets me this 25 amp hour battery and keeps the weight in a good spot on a frame that you can't really put batteries in. So, all right, I guess that's pretty much wiring it. So like I said, I'll do a short video when I'm after I drop this thing in, so you can see where the BMS sits in there to give you a better idea of kind of what I just did here. And just like my last battery packs, I'm gonna put just a little couple strips of hot glue on this one and glue these right down to keep them from moving. So, all right, I'll be back in the next step. Thanks for watching.